Chapter 1. Wendell. Wendell sighed and rubbed a hand over his face as he studied the brief in front of him. It was dull reading, but he had to do it if he wanted to get the promotion at the end of the year. Perhaps he should have listened to his mother when she suggested he worked in a vampire-focused firm, instead of one that worked with humans too. Most of the time, he didn't mind. He liked it when he could help people with their problems, especially when it looked bleak for them. But the firm was going through a dry spell when it came to interesting cases. The door to his office cracked open. He looked up and groaned inwardly at the sight of a blonde-haired woman he knew only too well. "What do you want, Cora?" he asked, hoping she'd tell him and then disappear to go do whatever it was she did. Instead, she took it as an invitation into his space. He sighed and shut the folder, not wanting her to see what he'd been working on. It wasn't that he didn't trust her. Actually, it was. Cora was one of the least reliable people he'd ever met, as well as one of the most cunning. She didn't even work in his building, and yet had managed to get past the front desk. Again. He'd have to talk to them about that, though it likely wasn't their fault. She probably used some kind of compulsion on them. She'd never told him whether or not she could use the vampire-specific skill, but he'd always assumed so. "What do you want?" he asked again when she stayed quiet. Cora hopped up onto his desk and crossed her legs, letting her skirt right up higher than she should and reveal her stockings. He looked away and sighed. Gone were the days when showing an ankle was frowned upon. Where Cora was concerned, he wanted them back. "Can't I just come say hello?" she purred. "I've told you, we're not together," he pointed out. She leaned in and took his tie in her hand, giving it a gentle tug so he came closer. "We're mates, Wendell. You can't deny it." He pulled his tie away from her and tucked it back into place before leaning back in his chair. "How many times do I have to tell you? We're not mates, Cora. We spent one night together a couple of decades ago. And yet you haven't been able to stay away from me since." Wendell took a deep breath. How had she not got it all through her head yet? He'd done everything he could in the past 20 or so years to separate the two of them, including moving to a completely new town to be away from her. It hadn't worked for long. She'd found him after only 2 years. Unfortunately for him, he'd fallen in love with the town during that time and didn't want to leave. He loved the laid-back feel of it, as well as walking down the paths next to the estuary, the smell of the sea in the air, and the breeze rushing past him. He'd lived in big cities his entire life, like most vampires, and this was a nice change of pace. Cora grabbed his phone from the desk before he had a chance to stop her. He should have thought about it and moved it away the moment she stepped into the room. He never learned fast enough where she was concerned. "What's this?" she hissed, jabbing a finger at the screen. "I don't know. You tell me." He shrugged. It was hard to tell what she was annoyed about if he couldn't see it. "Why have you downloaded this?" His mind raced through all the things he downloaded to his phone, but he couldn't come up with a single thing that could have triggered her. Of course, that didn't mean anything as far as Cora was concerned. She was a loose cannon, and one he was ready to be rid of. MatchMater. Venom dripped from the single word. Oh, that would explain her annoyance. "My friend recommended it. I thought I'd try it." "And what about me?" Anger flared in her eyes. "You're not my mate, Cora. We'd know about it by now." This was getting tiring. He didn't know how many times he could have the same conversation with her and still maintain his patience. "You should give us a chance." He groaned. When would she understand all of this? Maybe he should put her on MatchMater. He dismissed the thought as soon as it came to him. He couldn't do anything without her permission. He'd just have to hope she made the decision on her own. "Cora, it's not going to happen," he said firmly. "I know you think you feel some kind of mating bond with me, but I don't feel it back, and we'd know about it by now." She pouted as she shifted on the desk, giving him another flash of leg as she did. "We could have so much fun together, Wendell," she promised, her voice dropping low as she did. He knew she was trying to turn him on, but she did nothing for him anymore. One of the many reasons he knew they weren't mates. "I'm sorry, Cora,"